Hey guys, what's up? I'm back. So I wanted to do a video today, actually. I haven't recorded since I was 16 weeks and 29 weeks now. Some of you have asked for a belly shot, so here's a quick one. As you can see, he's coming along. There's that. Usually I'm wearing my brace for back support because I've had a lot of back pain this pregnancy, but I'm not wearing it now because I just got done doing my yoga, which also helps a lot. And you can see that's also his little crib back there for when he comes. We'll be co-sleeping for the first couple of months. It's just easier to breastfeed when you do that. But I wanted to make a video today because it has been quite a few months since I posted my last one, and go over a couple of things that have happened in my life recently that really affect the pregnancy and also myself and my family. As you guys probably know, I'm not sure if I've updated on this. I know I talked about having postpartum depression after my second baby and how that was, so I'll just kind of go back a little further. My psychiatric history is pretty lengthy. It goes back about 20 years or so. I remember my first panic attack was when I was 12 years old, and I started psych meds when I was in my early 20s. So antidepressant and Klonopin, which is like a muscle relaxant for anxiety and panic attacks. So for the past 12 years, nothing has worked. Antidepressants never worked. I've tried over 30 of them over the past 12 years. And they just never really worked. Nothing has really worked. And I've noticed that since I stopped working to stay home to take care of the kids, and I've either worked part-time or just PRN or volunteered or whatever as a nurse, you guys know I'm a nurse. It's just so different. I can't wait to get back to work. After this guy's born, I'm going to go back as soon as I can. I can't work right now because I'm high risk because, I have a history of having two preemies. So I can't work right now, but as soon as he's born, I'm sure I'll be back within a few months. Even if it's just 1 or 2 days, like, if it's every other weekend or something, I'll probably be back very soon after he's born because I can't stand staying in the house anymore. I thought I was going to love being a stay-at-home mom. I absolutely hate it, actually, and I hate to admit that, but I hate it. I like to get out of the house, and I love nursing. Personally, that's my calling. I love doing it, so I really miss it. But I've had a lot of problems with my psych history getting in the way of my daily life, my everyday life, being a mom, a wife, a friend, a good person. Just anxiety and panic attacks are terrible. If you know what it's like to have a panic attack, I'm sorry that you know what that feels like because it's absolutely horrifying. Mine mostly happen when I drive, which is a really fun time to have a panic attack. So it really sucks. Depression is a big part of my life too. A lot of times I lay in this bed right here all day, and my husband gets up and takes care of the kids. They're 3 and almost 2. The 2-year-old will be 2 in a couple of weeks. So 3 years old and 2 years old. But I lay in bed all the time, it seems, when I'm going through a really depressive phase. But then I'll have good days. I'll get up with the kids on the weekends. We'll cook breakfast and we'll just hang out and give my husband a break and let him sleep in for once, because usually he lets me sleep in. He said while I'm pregnant, I don't have to get up on the weekends, that he'll get up on the weekends. So that's really nice. He's a really nice guy, so I'm lucky to have him. Anyways, though, my psych history has just been so unstable, and I really felt like I needed to find some answers and some good ones, find a reputable psychiatrist. My psychiatrist that I've been seeing for a couple of years didn't really want to start treating me because of the pregnancy. I'm already high risk, so he didn't really want to treat me for that reason, and I agree with him. I needed to find someone else. So just go ahead and just tell you what happened on Monday of this week. So just 4 days ago, I experienced probably my first ever psych crisis of my life. It wasn't just where you have a breakdown. It was like I was throwing toys and threw my purse and broke my phone, yelling, screaming. I don't hit anybody. I don't hit my kids. I don't hit my husband. I'm not suicidal. It's just I get anger and rage episodes and I can't calm down, wind myself down, or come out of it. So I end up just being an absolute nightmare. My husband has to pull me away and literally hold my body so that I can't hit things. It's horrible. It's scary for my kids to see. It's scary for me, for my husband. It's frustrating. And so Monday, I just said, I've got to do something. This is a true psychiatric crisis. This is what doctors talk about when they talk about someone being in a psych crisis. Just like any other disease that you have, if you have lung disease and you wake up and you can't breathe one morning because you have pneumonia, that's a crisis. That's an emergency, and you need to go to the ER. So that's what I did. I first called my OB's office because it was Monday and they were open. So I called them first to see what they recommended I do, because I knew that just checking myself into a psych hospital being pregnant wasn't a good idea. And even if I wasn't pregnant, I wouldn't want to do that, because if you guys have ever been there, I've been there as a nurse, but not as a patient. I wouldn't want to spend more than 10 minutes there, because it would just raise my anxiety even more, having a roommate, limited visitors, if any, limited phone calls, if any. They just so many precautions in place. I don't do well alone. I have to have my husband with me if I go to the ER, or if I get checked in somewhere, and I need overnight observation, like if I'm having preterm contractions or something. I get really bad anxiety, and I have to have someone there with me. I do well being alone. That being said, I don't mind hanging out by myself, on the weekend. If my husband wants to take the kids up to the in-laws for the day, that's fine. I can hang out here and read my books. I love to read. But just if something's going on, I can't be alone. So they actually said go to the ER and just see what happens. So Monday afternoon, I went to the ER, and they basically said I have two options. I can admit myself to the psych hospital, even though I'm pregnant, or if I thought I was safe and I could manage myself for a couple of days, they could get me into a psychiatrist in the community for outpatient support for med management and counseling and things like that. So I weighed my options. I talked to my husband and I said, I really don't want to be admitted to a psych facility. The minimum stay at the one around here is 4 days, average of 7 days. And I said, I can't do that. I can't be apart from you that long. I can't not have the ability to talk to you for that long. That would just be the opposite of what I needed for my issues. So I decided to go home. I called the crisis number that they gave me that very night, Monday night, and I was able to find this great psychiatrist just 15 minutes away from me. And he actually saw me the very next day, Tuesday night. He has evening hours, which is really great if you work. It's a great place. So I went there. We spent about an hour together. My husband went with me. I always like for my husband to go with me to medical appointments because, I listen to the doctor, but a lot of times I leave and I'm like, what did he say about that? Or what exactly did he say? So I take notes a lot, but I also want my husband there. And I also want him involved in my care too, because he's my husband and father of my kids. He needs to know what's going on. So he was there. We spent about an hour, and we mainly talked about my history with the anxiety, the panic attacks for about 12 years, how the antidepressants didn't work, my rage episodes, how I can have good days and bad days, and up and down, and depression and everything. And he said, well, have you ever been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder or, something like that? And I said, no, actually just anxiety and panic attacks. That's all I've ever been diagnosed with. Side note, I have a very strong family history as well. Every member of my family I can think of, mom, dad, brother, grandmother, aunts, uncles, cousins, they're all on some sort of psychiatric med of some kind and have some sort of psychiatric illness. So the genetics on my part are not good. However, he said it really sounds like you have bipolar disorder. I think that's what you really have and what you've been struggling with your whole life. And actually, I didn't know this, but antidepressants make someone with bipolar disorder, it makes them worse. So that's why they weren't working, and that's why I wasn't getting better all this time. So he said, really, it's more like borderline personality, but they don't really use that term anymore. They kind of just group it all into bipolar disorder. Same thing. It doesn't matter what the label is or what you call it. The treatment is the same. So the goal for my treatment now is to improve the depression, get my spirits up, have happier days, control the depression, reduce the rage episodes, reduce the frequency and the severity, of course, And also be able to just leave the house, have less anxiety, less panic attack. For about 12 years, like I said, I was taking Klonopin, and last year I actually decided to try to take myself off of it and wean off of it because I didn't want to be on any meds. I wanted to try to be a hero and live life med-free. Big mistake. Don't recommend trying that. But I weaned myself too quickly and I ended up having a seizure. And I'm not sure if I've talked about that on my channel yet, but it was April of last year. I had a seizure. It was Easter. I was at an Easter egg hunt with my 2 little boys. Luckily, my mother-in-law was with me because my husband was overseas in Korea at the time. But I had a seizure out in public, and according to the bystanders, it lasted about 2 minutes. And I just woke up on the ground basically, and I looked over and a stranger was holding my son because my mother-in-law was around the corner. We were at an Easter festival, so she had no idea that it had happened at all. So I had to go to the hospital, get worked up for all that. Everything was negative, everything was fine. And after multiple testing and seeing a neurologist, we determined it was probably what's called a benzo withdrawal seizure. When you stop taking something like Klonopin, Xanax, Ativan, they're all benzos, they're all muscle relaxants, and they can all cause seizure if you wean too quickly or you stop abruptly. So we determined that's what caused it. And it was really at that point that I said, okay, I've got to stop this. I can't take a drug that could cause me to have a seizure if I either forget to take it or, if you're ever deserted or stranded, if you're traveling and let's say your bags are separated from you, if you're flying and, you have 1 or 2 pills in your purse, but your whole bottle is in your bag. And I mean, what do? It's crazy. So plus I'd been on it for 12 years. So I said, all right, that's it. I'm going to wean off this med the right way. So I actually was on, I think I was taking 3 milligrams a day at that point, 3 or 4, I'm not quite sure. But I ended up weaning by about 0.25 to 0.5 milligrams every 3 to 4 weeks. I weaned so very slowly because I didn't want to risk another seizure. So I did that starting in April of last year, found out we were pregnant on July 31st of last year. Which was good. I was already weaning off the Klonopin, so that's good. It's not recommended to take during pregnancy, of course, because there are so many problems it can cause. So at least I was weaning off of it at the time that we found out we were pregnant. Going forward, it took me over 8 months. Finally got off the Klonopin around Christmas time or New Year's, something like that. And then it seems like in the past couple of weeks, it's January 18th, 19th today. For the past couple of weeks, it seems like I've had symptoms have not only come back, but they have become more severe. And so when I had this psych crisis on Monday, I had already started back on the Klonopin. My husband really wanted me to start back on it. He said, you're a lot more calm when you're on it. You have less anxiety and you're just like more pleasant to deal with, basically. And I said, yeah, but I can't. This is a drug I need not to take. But until I figured out what I was going to do, I went back on it. And so by the time I saw the psychiatrist on Tuesday of this week, I had already gone up to like 3 milligrams a day or something like that, 2 in the morning and 1 at night. And that was helping a little bit, but there again, not very much. I was basically just taking it to keep myself calm and numb and whatever. So the psychiatrist said, first thing we're going to do is stop the Klonopin. You need to wean back off of that. Just get rid of that altogether. And I said, that's fine with me. I didn't want to go back on it in the first place, but I didn't really have whole lot of other options. So I'm weaning off the Klonopin again, but it's going to be a lot faster and a lot more different this time because I had just started it back up a few weeks ago. So I should be done with that probably in about a month. And I still have my prescription for Xanax, which I take for panic attacks, just as needed. I carry it in my purse, and I take 1 milligram tablet if I have a panic attack, like if I'm driving or if I'm in a social situation. That brings it on a lot too. So I still have that standing prescription, but because I only take it once every couple of weeks or not very often at all, I don't need to wean off of it because it's not really in my system. So we took off the Klonopin. Now with bipolar, there's a couple of different meds that are really good for treating bipolar. However, when you're pregnant, it's such a hassle to find one that is safe for the baby, but also effective for me as a mom, because at the end of the day, I need to be healthy, and I need to take something that will cause me to live as safe a life as possible for my child that I'm pregnant with, and also the two that I'm taking care of every day. So he wrote down 4 different ones that he had in mind and wanted me to talk to my OB to see which ones might be the best and maybe which ones to absolutely stay away from. The first one was Seroquel, which is, I believe it's considered an antipsychotic, but it kind of makes you sleepy and puts you to sleep. I've actually tried that before, and because I can't sleep at night, I don't know if you have bipolar, one of the things is you can't sleep at night. So I took it to sleep at night, 50 milligrams every night, and it worked really well, but I got a dependence pretty quickly. And after a couple of weeks, 50 milligrams wasn't working to put me to sleep anymore. So he said he wanted to start me out at 100 milligrams a day of Seroquel. And because my anxiety happens during the day when I'm awake and I'm out doing things, he said, you can split it up. You can take 25 milligrams in the morning, 25 in the afternoon, and then, 50 at night, or, however you want to do it. You can split it up if you want. The other 3 meds were Geodon, Trileptal, and Lamictal. 2 of them, Trileptal and Lamictal, are anti-seizure medications. They're used for people with epilepsy. So there again, if you forget it or you take, if you suddenly stop it for whatever reason, you'll have a seizure for sure. So I wasn't too happy about those being on the list of possibilities. The other one, Geodon, I've never heard of. I think it's also considered an antipsychotic, but it's just a normal bipolar med. And he said it's been around for a while, so that, it shouldn't be too expensive and, low side effects. So went home Tuesday night, and I have a good relationship with my MFM doctor, my maternal fetal medicine high risk OB. And so I actually emailed him, and he got back to me that night, which I was surprised about. But and then we basically talked about any of them are okay, but I need to use the lowest dose possible to achieve the highest effect. So efficacy is very important, and also lowest dose because of the baby. But he recommended to try to stay away from Trileptal if at all possible, because especially during breastfeeding, it's not recommended. It's an L3. If you ever look up these drugs or drugs that you take, especially for breastfeeding, want to look at the lactation compatibility. So if something is an L1, that's like a Tylenol. That means, it's not going to do anything. L2s are, there's limited data, might not be any data on human subjects. L3s, you tend to stay away from those because there's either been shown to be, positive harm in humans, or it's just a drug you just really don't want to use. And I have to worry about not just pregnancy, but breastfeeding, because I'll be breastfeeding him for, I don't know, a year or 2 or more. I don't know. So it's not just the pregnancy. We don't have to worry about just taking something while I'm pregnant, but I also have to worry about being able to breastfeed the baby as well. So what ended up happening, he chose to go with Seroquel, like I said, 100 milligrams. The first day I started taking it, I did 25 in the morning, 25 in the afternoon, and it made me pretty sleepy actually, but I was still able to drive. It just calmed me down a lot. It was really nice. And then I took the remaining 50 milligrams that night, Wednesday night, and slept better than I've slept probably in a year, and it was just amazing. I woke up feeling so good. So I'm really encouraged by that drug. I see him in 7 days. Well, 7 days from Tuesday. So I actually see him next Wednesday. I believe that's the 24th, just for a 7-day follow-up. We're going to see how the Seroquel is doing, and he may or may not add another one like the Geodon or maybe the Lamictal or something like that. I'm not sure what we'll do. But I'm going to try to not talk so long. I know I'm at 20 minutes already, so I've written down a few things. But that's my recent health update as far as my psychiatric situation currently. And, you know, I've looked at bipolar. I'm a nurse. I know a lot about it, but I've looked it up, and it explains, it actually describes my life pretty well. So, you know, I would encourage you, if you're finding that meds you're taking aren't working or just don't seem to be working as well as you think they should, or you just think that you've been doing this for years and you're not getting anywhere, consider seeing another doctor for a second opinion and third opinion, fourth opinion, because you may be misdiagnosed. I've been misdiagnosed for the past 12 years and didn't know it. So that's a big factor, something I would encourage you to do. So that's the diagnosis and the meds that I'm currently taking and how it's going to affect pregnancy and breastfeeding. Right now, the side effects should be pretty low. Also, it's good that I'm 7 months along. I'm 29 weeks and a day today. So that's really helpful. If I was very early on in the pregnancy, these drugs would be a lot more risky. So at least I'm 7 months as of now. All right, so what are we going to do other than meds? You know, you can't just take a pill and go on and think that that's going to fix your life and, you know, you're going to be able to live life just by taking a pill every day. That's not realistic. It's not. You have to do more. And this is something I'm struggling with currently and trying to be better about, getting out of the house, doing more activities with my kids, my husband, my friends. My big thing is just getting out of the house because I have so much anxiety when I leave the house. This is my safe zone. So I have a lot of panic attacks when I leave the house. So working on getting out more and doing things. Also, you need to have a support system. Mine right now is just my husband. I don't have any family in the area. My mother and grandmother, and they all live about 2 hours away where I'm from and where I grew up, but they're not always available. So not a great support system there. So it's basically just my husband, and that puts a lot on him, which I don't like. So find group. We're involved in our church, and so I've been able to talk to church friends and make play dates and do small community groups within the church just to have some, you know, just to have people to talk to. It's really important to have a good support system. You also want to do counseling. I haven't started yet because you can see anybody, but it's for our insurance, it's $30 a week. I would go once a week. So my church offers counseling though for free. So I've emailed them and I'm waiting for them to get back to me to see how we can go about the process of doing counseling through church. Plus it would be Christian oriented, which is very important to me. But counseling is very important because you can tap into some of the root causes of your disorder and maybe your panic attack issues and your anxiety too. And it can really help to talk those things out. Main symptoms I've kind of already hit on, just the anxiety and the panic attacks, you know, depression, not being able to sleep at night. My appetite, I've never really had a big appetite anyway, so I wouldn't say that weight gain or weight loss is a big problem. Sometimes when I'm going through a really depressive phase at the end of 2016, about a year ago, I got down to my lowest weight since high school, and it was really, really bad. So. But I wanted to share a couple books with you guys that I found helpful. These are some prayer and devotion books. If you're a Christian, you know, you'll probably like this. If not, just skip a couple minutes. But Prayers with Purpose for Women. I really like this one. And also Promises from God's Word for Women. And this is just a daily devotional. I really like those two on a daily basis. A couple other books I'm reading right now. I do love to read. I don't have a lot of time to do it during the day when I'm watching the kids, but after they go to bed at 7, I do have a lot of time to myself. I'm excited to start this one. It's called I'm Outnumbered, and it's written by a mom of 4 boys. I'm getting ready to have my third boy, so I thought that would be a great book to read. This is interesting. This is a Christian-involved group, Christian-based book as well. It's called For Better or for Kids, and it's written by actually a husband and wife, and so it's just a great read. I love the Chicken Soup series. I don't know if you guys have ever gotten into these, but they're great. This particular one is Chicken Soup for children with special needs. My oldest son is quite a challenge, and he has some speech delays that we're working through, and he's just behind in some areas. And so he is very, very, very difficult to deal with right now. So I'm reading up on the chicken soup books, and that seems to help a lot. This is a book that I've started on, but I haven't really gotten too far into it. It's called Pressing Pause, 100 Quiet Moments for Moms to Meet with Jesus. It's kind of just, I wouldn't really say it's a devotional, but just things you can read and you can write down and take notes. I just think it looks like a really great book. And then this one, I've gotten about halfway through, but this has been all over Facebook. They have a page, I think, but it's called Love What Matters, and it's true stories, real people, real stories, real heart. It's kind of one of those that you don't want to read without, if you cry easily, you might want to avoid that one. But just reading, those are some good books that I recommend. The final thing I'll just touch on is accountability. Find someone, a spouse is great, but again, you don't want to burden them too much. But find a friend who you trust that you can share your issues and your diagnosis with and your symptoms and say, look, I really need you to, ask me to hang out, ask me to get out of the house. Just hold yourself, allow someone to help you hold yourself accountable for your actions, getting you out of bed, out of the house, even just picking up the phone and talking to someone on a daily basis, just checking in with someone. How are you doing today? The kids are running, driving me crazy. I've had a hard day with the kids and I'm so stressed because of everything, going on. I did just finish school. I went back to school actually to complete my bachelor's degree. And I was full-time last semester. So I was full-time for about 3.5 months. I ended up getting all straight A's, so I'm really happy about that. But I love school. It was a great distraction for me. It kept me busy. And also it's actually something I need to do, being that I'll be going back to work soon. But anyways, just really have someone in your life whom you trust, and you can just do a check-in daily. Get out, do a lot of things. A lot of things that I've been doing lately have involved just my husband and my kids, which is fine. But it's important to have girl time with your friends, just getting out of your normal daily routine. And then the final thing I'll add that I really encourage is a lot of just natural sort of Eastern medicine as opposed to Western medicine where, they're heavy into just taking a pill. But I do yoga a lot. I did it a lot before I got pregnant, and then I stopped when I got pregnant because I wasn't sure if it was a good idea because I really can't do too much physical exertion type work. But my OB has said it's fine. I can do it if I want, and I'll do another video on this. But I've been suffering from a lot of severe low back pain this pregnancy. Same thing with Bentley, with my second son, lots of low back pain with him. And so I found these prenatal yoga for low back pain videos on YouTube that I really like. I really enjoy doing those. And I think just breathing exercises, teaching yourself how to do deep breathing exercises, meditation, guided imagery, things like that, things you wouldn't think of, but that most people do to treat an illness, can be really helpful, actually. So that's all I've got on my list, and I'm up to 28 minutes, so I don't want to keep you guys too long, but I do want to reach out there and let you know if you're a mom and you have bipolar disorder or maybe some other psych issue or problem, you're definitely not alone. And the biggest thing I can recommend is just reaching out for help and getting that support system in place. And of course, a good doctor for med management. But if you have any questions, leave them below and I'll make another video. I'll be happy to talk more about the meds, more about my issues and, what other things help, taking care of that. Or if you just want to reach out and we can be each other's, daily check-in or, maybe once a week since it's YouTube, however you want to do it. But anyways, you're not alone and it can be so stressful. Some days I just want to walk out of the house and shut the door and just take a walk or, feel like I don't want to come back sometimes. So, but yeah, it gets tough and this is no joke. And bipolar is a very hard disease to live with and to have children to take care of and a house to take care of and to be married and working and all that. So that's the main reason I wanted to make this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And like I said, if you have any questions, please just leave them below and I'll be happy to make another video. And anything else you guys want to know or talk about, it can be, usually I use this channel for updating family members on the kids. But I've kind of expanded it a little bit and used it for other things like my breastfeeding journey and stuff like that. So I think I'm having a baby shower in a couple of weeks. I'm not sure about that, but I'll do a baby shower haul video, and I'll also show you guys the new baby's room tour and just different things like that, because I think a lot of you guys that are subscribed are moms, and you probably like to see videos about clothes and toys and what the nursery looks like and all that. So I'll do one of those. But anyways, I'll stop. I'm past the 30-minute mark now. I'll stop. Be blessed. Reach out for help, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.